Hello, and welcome to Husky Talk. I am your host, the best podcast host in the universe, Steve Cully. I'd like to thank our sponsors at Procyon Partners, one of the top 50 fastest growing companies in the nation. They specialize in employee benefits, wealth management, and retirement planning. President Sean Rabinowitz, proud supporter of our podcast network. Green Street Trust International, owned and operated by Rennell Jump and UConn men's legendary player Jake Voskuhl. They specialize in tax plans for businesses large and small. They will save you money or get you a big fat return. To schedule your free strategic tax planning session today, go to www.greenstreettrust.com. Pete Finch and the Finch Law Firm is located in Bridgeport, Connecticut. He specializes in any type of injury that you've had. Car accident, a slip and fall. Your mother-in-law ran you over with her car. Your wife got angry one night and decided to stab you. The Finch firm is for you. Pete has won legal battles all across the state of Connecticut, and he will go to war to get every dollar you deserve in compensation. You just have to remember, in a pinch, call Finch. We have Dynamic Human Performance, owned and operated by UConn legendary running back Andre Dixon. He trains boys and girls of all ages, of all sports. He has a boot camp program, 7 days a week, 6 a.m. You want to get in shape? You go to Andre. He has an athletic development program. He trains boys and girls from the ground up in the sport of their choice, and he helps them to reach their full potential, be the best they can possibly be. And Andre has sent boys and girls to college on scholarship for all different types of sports. To work with the best, he has a 5,000 square foot state-of-the-art facility in Hartford, Connecticut. Go to www.dynamichumanperformance.com. And then down south, we have Julius Williams and the Trench Mob. Julius trains offensive and defensive linemen in Decatur, Georgia. They compete in 5v5 tournaments, and they also go to college showcase camps. Proud to say, every camp the Trench Mob attended, they won, and every college showcase camp they attended, the Trench Mob had somebody leave with a scholarship offer. Julius has sent kids to schools like Florida, Florida State, Miami, Tennessee, Clemson, Georgia, Alabama, just to name a few. So if you're a lineman and you want to work with the best, go to www.battleofthetrenches.com. And now for the man of the hour for Husky Talk. He is now the coach at Nichols College. Coach Marino, Vinny Marino, great to see you, sir.
Steve, great to be with you, man. You have a great podcast. You got great sponsors. Quick sidebar: I recruited Julius to UConn.
I know you did. I know. Yeah. He told me. He told me about that. Yeah. He told me. He told me the story. He was about to go in and commit at Lane College. He said nobody was recruiting him, mm-hmm. And then he got a call. He got a call from you, and you guys said you wanted him, and he told the coach at Lane, and he left, and the rest is history. But he always credits you because nobody took him, and you did, and it made a huge difference.
Yep.
And I think absolutely having coaches like you, having Lyndon, Coach Johnson, guys who had played at UConn, understanding the culture, that made such a huge difference. You know, I especially when you came on, when Coach Ambrose came on, that's when things really started to come together. Yeah. But I don't know your whole story. So where are you originally from? Are you originally from Connecticut?
No, I'm from Southbridge, Massachusetts, which is about a half hour from UConn. So
okay.
I went there as a walk-on quarterback from Bridgeton Academy, and I was one of 7 quarterbacks. And And so it was, I mean, it was eye-opening experience for me. We were 1AA at the time, and we had great talent, and we had great players, and it was eye-opening for me. But one besides meeting great people like Lyndon Johnson and his teammates and a bunch of good friends that love the Huskies. I was able to have great coaches and the coaching staff there. Steve Spagnuolo was on the staff, and we had Rusty Burns, and Brian Usher was the defensive coordinator at the time. Coach Usher was phenomenal. What a great bunch of coaches on both sides of the ball. Frank Leonard, who Frankie's just retired, and now with me helping our offensive line now when he just retired from Penn State last spring. They were great coaches, and it was a great experience for me. I wasn't a very good player, but I learned a lot. I mean, like I said, I knew I wanted to get into coaching after that experience early on because how I was treated by the coaches, and it was great, and I wouldn't change anything.
Now, when you were growing up younger, did you start playing right away?
I did.
You did.
I played in junior high a little bit. I played in junior high, and then I was associated. My uncle was the head coach of Southbridge. He was a legendary coach, and he was my godfather. So I was going to games when I was a little kid. I was the water boy. I'd go to practice after school, and I just watched my uncle coach, and he was a very old school, obviously back then in the 70s and 80s, old school, but he demanded discipline, demanded toughness. And so even at a young age, that always stuck with me, how competitive he was. And like he always wanted to play good competition. He always wanted to compete. And he always pushed players to be the best they can be. And so that stuck with me at a young age. And I kind of thought I wanted to be a coach, and then I wasn't sure. And then after my UConn experience, I wanted to be a coach, but that was ingrained in me early on.
And then even in high school as well.
High school I played. And then
quarterback too?
I was a quarterback, defensive back. My junior, I had 10 interceptions on defense. Senior year, senior year, I was all-state, played in the Shriners game at Boston College, which is a great honor. That was a great honor. So that was great. And I got recruited. A lot of people wanted me to be a DB, but I really wanted to play quarterback. So I went to Bridgeton. Right. That was a great experience. Met some great guys there as well. And then I went to UConn, and like I said, it was it's a far different UConn than it was what it is now.
No,
even when you went there and I coached there, far different.
I know. I was up at the game last week, and I was with I got to hang out with Brian Kozlowski and Robert Belcourt.
Yeah.
And when you go to campus, it's unrecognizable.
Exactly
what they've done to it. I mean, they have every sport has a facilities building. It's just it blows my mind how they've done that. Now, isn't there? If I'm wrong, there's a prep school. Is there a prep school called Bridgerton in Maine?
Yes, that's it. That's the school, Bridgerton Academy.
That's what I'm thinking about.
That's it. Yep, Bridgerton Academy.
Okay, so they're phenomenal right now at placing kids in Division I programs. Exactly. So they were a university at the time that you went there?
No, they were prep school. It was a 1 year prep school.
Okay, so you went there.
Prep school, all boys.
UPG.
All boys.
Okay,
all boys. Yep.
And you had 7 quarterbacks.
When I got to UConn my first year, there were 7 quarterbacks.
Oh, when you got to UConn, okay.
UConn, there were 7 quarterbacks, so it was eye opening. But it was just me and another quarterback when I went to Bridgeton. So I had to battle a kid named David Page from Colorado. Actually, played at a great program in Colorado, but I was lucky enough to win the starting job and was the starting quarterback there for that year at Bridgeton, and that was a great experience. We played like URI's JVs, BU's JVs at the time. Boston University had a JV program at the time, so we played them. So that was a really good. It was a very good experience.
Yeah, because I've heard so many good things about Bridgerton, and it's helped so many kids get to the next level and get to play Division I football. And a lot of kids need that PG year, and I would recommend it. I would have done it if I had a better head on my shoulders, because it really prepares you much better for going into college than going in right out of high school.
Well, so many kids are doing that now with the reclass. They're reclassing.
Yes, they reclass.
Going to prep school. So instead of paying for a year of prep school, they're just reclassing, and you're seeing a lot of people do that. John Hooley's got a bunch of guys at Avon that do that stuff. And that's the new trend right now for those kids to reclass. So they are that year older, which I completely understand. I mean, I get it.
Yeah. No, we hear about that all the time. Julius talks about it because parents, if they're not getting the offers or the looks that they want, they always want to reclass. And it works both ways. It's benefited some and it hasn't others. But so you got to UConn and there were 7 quarterbacks.
There were.
Were you there? Was DeGennaro there with you?
Matt DeGennaro was a starting quarterback. Matt just came off his freshman year where I think he was the rookie of the year in the league, I think.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. Right. But Matt was the quarterback. We had a kid Cornelius Benton who was
really good. He
talented.
Played 1 year.
Corny was really talented. So there was a bunch of guys. There were 5 freshmen. 2 of them were walk-ons. No, 3 walk-ons, including myself. 2 scholarship kids. But then 2 of them moved. 1 transferred out back then. He left and transferred out. One of the walk-ons went to running back. 1 went to tight end. And they kept me at quarterback just because I kind of knew what I was doing. Not that I was,
Was TJ your head coach at the time?
Yeah, Tom Jackson was my head coach. Yep, exactly.
I've heard a lot of good stories about him. Like he was a really good recruiter.
Yeah.
He was good with the kids.
Yeah.
And he brought in some great players.
Great players.
And
absolutely great players.
And your experience coming in as a freshman when you go to UConn, because I always hear this from people. Was it a bit of a culture shock to you when you first got there?
Absolutely, without a doubt. I mean, playing small town high school football where I grew up, and then Bridgeton kind of helped open my eyes a little bit because we had a bunch of good players who came from different programs, and so that helped a little bit, certainly. But when I got to UConn, I'm just looking at, here I am, 19 years old with a year of prep school, and I'm looking at 23-year-old guys, and they're like dudes with muscles everywhere, and they're great looking, like phenomenal looking guys, and great players who had done stuff on the field. And they all treated me great. It was awesome. It was great. I went down and did scout team, and the year before I was there, supposedly it was kind of like pardon my French, a shit show. Like they, the defensive guys would like shit on the kids, and defensive guys would be like, dumping the quarterback on his head and stuff because the O-line couldn't block him, obviously, and stuff like that. And I took it seriously. I really did. I took it very seriously because I wanted to give them a good look. That's just who I am. And I kind of knew I wanted to be a coach, so I wanted to make sure that I kind of did it. And, I did a good job for them, and they appreciated it, and they never, ever treated me badly at all. They're like, as a matter of fact, they were like, guys were like, don't touch the quarterback. Like, don't touch him. Like, let him throw, let him.
Yeah.
So that was a different from the year before, as I understood, and I enjoyed it. It made me better. I tell the kids I coach today, I did scouting for 2 years, and you go down there with the right attitude, it makes you better, but you got to have the right attitude. And I fight it now with my players because they go down there and then, they're not running with the 1s or 2s, and their whole, they all get disappointed, which I get, but you still can get better if you do your footwork, your techniques, you do the things that you need to do as a player. You
still get the reps. Yeah,
absolutely. You're still getting reps, and every rep, if you do it right, you'll get better. And so that's, that helped me a lot. And, but it was
you're playing against the best.
Exactly.
You're playing against the best.
You're playing against the best players on your team. So yeah, it was good for me. It helped me get better. And, I appreciate it. I appreciate the defensive guys. They treated me great. The defensive coaches treated me great because they knew I cared, and we gave them a good look.
And everyone talks about, and I hate the buzzword, the culture at UConn. And, everyone that I've talked to said that the culture really set them apart from other schools. They were welcomed in by everyone, and there weren't really a ton of cliques, offense, defense, special teams. Everyone hung out together. Everyone loved, supported each other. And then even with the other sports, we were all friends with the players from the other sports. We supported them. And people say that made the difference. Did you feel that when you went there?
Absolutely. Without a doubt. It's the same culture when I played there, same culture when I coached there, without a doubt. It's the same thing. You're right. All the sports hang out together. There was for football, everybody hung around. The older guys were good. I mean, like as a younger player, the older guys are great. You hang around with them and they treat you well. And then obviously the other sports, you get to know the basketball players, the women's basketball players. And, my freshman year, we were with Gino's first big recruiting class with Meg Patterson and that crew.
Yeah.
And we got to be friends with them because we were in study all together. And, then we all got to be friends together. And we'd go to their games when nobody was going to their games until they started winning, obviously. But
exactly.
the culture, it was awesome. You go support other sports. You see them out on campus. It's a big campus, but it's not that big of a campus.
No,
so you would see everybody. You know what I mean? And I think UConn's just a great place and so unique.
It really is. It really is. And the other thing guys talked about was staying up over the summer.
Yeah.
Were you able to stay up over the summer?
No, I went home in the summer. I was only half hour away, so I'd come back a little bit to work out. But at that point, not a lot of guys stayed. That's still when I was a player.
That was new.
That was fairly new. Some guys stayed because they had to take summer classes.
Yeah,
it wasn't really, and they would work out with the strength coach, but it really was more based on they stayed because of necessity.
Right.
It really hadn't kicked in where guys were staying for the summer. It had just started to, as I graduated, just started to kick in more where players stayed in the summer to work out and those type of things.
So you obviously came in with a great freshman class.
Yeah.
How did you guys do starting your freshman year?
Yeah, we were 8-3. Then we were tri-champs of the Yankee Conference, and we didn't get to go to the playoffs because we lost.
Yeah, we didn't get the bid. That's right.
We didn't get the bid because we lost to the other two teams that were the tri-champs. We were 7-4 one year. We were 7-2 when we lost our last two to BU and URI, which both were not great teams. So we didn't finish the season the right way. So that was a problem. So we had some great teams early on.
Yeah.
And we just never, like I said, the 8-3 team we kind of get shafted, I think. And then the 7-4 team, we were 7-2 and lost the last two. And that we felt we were in good position to win at least one of those two when we were going to go to the tournament. At that time, we had not been to the playoffs. So that was going to be a big thing. And they didn't work out. And then I think the next year we were like 6-5 or something. And then I think that's when they kind of started to make some moves with some of the coaching staff. And that's when TJ, felt some heat. I thought they started to feel.
Right. And at the time, the Yankee Conference was arguably one of the top conferences in 1AA FCS. Talk about some of the tough opponents in the Yankee Conference that you guys had to face.
Yeah, we had to. We played Richmond, if I believe, one year. I think it was my very first game there. I think they were number one team in the country. If I'm not mistaken. So Richmond, they came to our place. They came to Stores. We had to play Villanova. We lost to Villanova in a 6th overtime game at Villanova.
I heard about that.
Yeah. Lost in a 6th overtime game. Delaware is Delaware. Delaware was one of the best teams always at that point.
Unbelievable.
In the Yankee Conference. So, Maine was great. Maine had Mike Buck, who played in the NFL for a number of years at quarterback. Mike Buck was a great player with a bunch of great players.
Absolutely.
So, the New Hampshire teams that were phenomenal. So, the league itself,
there were no easy wins.
It's like one of the best leagues in 1AA. You had the Southern Conference. That was a great conference at the time with Georgia Southern, App State, and all those guys. But the Yankee Conference at that time was absolutely phenomenal. The talent level on our team was great. And then you look at those other teams, and it was, like I said, Delaware, Richmond, Villanova was good. New Hampshire always had good teams. Maine had great teams. UMass had good teams. UMass was battles. BU played football back then. They were kind of hot and cold, but they had some good players. Northeastern was playing football back then. They ran the triple option. They ran the wishbone. So there was always challenges. URI was hot and cold, but they had some great teams. The league was phenomenal. The talent level was incredible. So
there were no easy.
No, there really weren't. Even if the team wasn't great, they still, like I said, BU and URI weren't great the year we lost to them, and they beat us, and we were 7-2, and we're loaded with talent, and we kind of, unfortunately, lost the last two, and like I said, couldn't go to the tournament.
So you were on the scout team for 2 years at UConn. Did you get playing time after that, your final 2 years?
I did. I played a little bit mop-up time as a quarterback.
Yep.
I did hold my roommate, Coach Jackson's nephew, Rick Jackson, is one of my best friends. I was the best man at his wedding. Rick was the holder, and Rick was good, but he also played some other special teams. And unfortunately, I believe it was against BU. It was in November. But I think it was November. It was in stores. He blew his knee out, ACL injury. So I had to go in and hold. So I went in and became the hold. I was the backup holder. So then I held for him. And then I held the following next year. I was a holder. So I basically, so I lettered for 2 years being a holder and playing some special teams. And then it's a little bit of mop-up duty at quarterback. But yeah, it was, like I said, it was a great experience. You certainly would love to play more or whatever. But the thing
that's when you really found your love for coaching. That's when
exactly.
you decided that you wanted.
Yeah, and like I said, I had great coaches. Jimmy Collins was my quarterback coach. So after my my sophomore year, they brought in 2 freshman quarterbacks, both on scholarship, and both great guys. And so obviously they had signed him in the back when recruiting was normal, and it was February, the one signing period. So they signed him, and so we went through. So the next year they were on campus, and I had moved up, and I was, like I said, I was the third team quarterback at that time. And it was Matt's last year. Corny was ahead of me, and then I was a third teamer. And so the spring hit that year. Matt graduated, so Corny was going to be the starter. And Jimmy Collins brought me in January when we got back from Christmas break and said, "Hey, listen, I just need you to know." And we had a great relationship, and I think he respected me. I certainly respected him. And he goes, "Hey, I just need you to know that when spring hits, I'm gonna these other 2 guys we've invested scholarship money in them." He was very candid. I mean, he was. I mean, to me that's why part of the reason why I coached and I talk to players how I do, because I didn't like hearing it, but it was truthful. And they, and so he said, "But in the spring you'll battle with them, and you'll, like I said, we'll see how it shakes out." But he grabbed me, so I worked my butt off that winter, lost like 15 pounds.
Yeah,
really committed to the process.
Got ready to go.
And through it, and at the end of spring ball, Jimmy Collins comes up to me on Friday. We have a spring game on Saturday. He goes, "Hey, man, you're starting a spring game." He goes, "You're the backup quarterback. You won the job coming out of spring." So, that made me feel happy and proud. And I worked really hard for it, and it was important to me. And so that was something that
That's amazing.
I share with my players now that, again, like I wasn't a great player at all, but I love that, I worked and it was important to me.
Yeah, and we'll get to that later, but you kind of feel that players now, if they don't feel they're in the best situation, they don't necessarily work to want to get better and improve. They look to go somewhere where they can the grass may be greener.
Yep.
And that's what I think is a lost art, because I had a similar experience where I was gonna be on the second team, and it was full transparency. And I also think that has tremendous value when you have full transparency. You know exactly where you stand, you know exactly what you need to improve on, and you get to work. And you either get there or you don't, but you at least know why you're there, why you're not there, and what your deficiencies are. And I think that's so valuable, and it makes a difference. And I think it, like you said, it really builds a trust and a relationship with your coach when you have that with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And not all coaches are like that. A lot of coaches will tell you what you want to hear.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily tell you the truth.
No doubt. No doubt.
Right. So you get out of UConn. Did you immediately get into coaching?
I did. Yeah, I did. So
okay.
I was lucky. I graduated from UConn, and I over the summer my summer job was working on the Massachusetts Turnpike, like cutting grass.
Are you serious?
Yeah, that was my summer job. Yeah, I mean, back then paid really good money, and
so
it was a good summer job. And so I was looking to get into coaching. So I interviewed for a GA position at Sacred Heart with Gary Riho at the time. And then the UConn guys, a lot of those guys, Steve Spagnuolo, Rusty Burns, Jimmy Collis, those guys are Springfield guys. So Howie Vandersea, Coach Vandersea, was head coach at Bowdoin. And so they got me tied into him, and I went up and interviewed. And Tom McCabe, who was my prep school, prep school coach, was now at Bowdoin as the head lacrosse coach and the offensive coordinator at Bowdoin. So when I applied for the job, they hired me. And again, I'm grateful for like Spags and Jimmy Collis and those guys who helped me with Howie. And I could have went to Sacred Heart as a GA and kind of a startup program. And I it was a great opportunity. And but I decided to go to Bowdoin, and Bowdoin was just a seasonal job. Like this was going to be a 2-year GA job at Sacred Heart.
Yeah.
And there was Division III. It was just starting out. But Howie's reputation was phenomenal. All these guys played for him at Springfield. They all loved him. They all respected him. So I went there. So I starting in the end of August, I drove up and stayed at Bowdoin for the fall and did coach my first year, coached the wide receivers. And I actually coached them. I wasn't GAing or whatever. Like I was coaching, having to deal with players. Even back then, players didn't play. They would get mad and all that stuff. And so you're having to deal with that as a 22-year-old kid for myself. So it was a great experience. It was a lot of fun. Had a blast, great coaching staff. We actually played in Ireland, so it was really cool over Thanksgiving weekend. They actually had alums from Tufts and Bowdoin fronted the trip, and we actually on Thanksgiving weekend. So it was cool. So I got extended through like mid-December. I was supposed to be done at the end of the season. But I stayed up there. We practiced, and some of the kids were playing basketball, so they would like kind of mix their practice time with basketball and football. And then we went over for 3 days over Thanksgiving weekend and played in Galway, Ireland, which was awesome. And we beat Tufts, so like I think it was 7-6 in a rain game or whatever. But it was an awesome experience, and Howie was great to me. And Howie had never taken, Coach had never taken anybody to the convention unless they were a full-time employee. Well, one of the other full-time employees didn't want to go, so he took me to my first convention in Atlanta at the Peachtree Marriott.
You got to go.
My first coaches convention. So I met a bunch of people and saw a bunch of the UConn coaches there. I didn't know anybody, obviously. I'm like, holy cow. I'm like, this is incredible. I'm going down the escalator and there's like Dennis Erickson, Joe Paterno, Tom Osborne. I'm like, I actually literally, no lie, got back up the elevator, went back to the room, and I looked in the mirror. I'm like, what am I doing here? I'm like,
what am I doing here?
Like all these people who are like phenomenal in coaching.
Legends. Right? Yeah.
Legends in coaching. I just see them in the lobby and I'm like, this is overwhelming. And I did that. And then I'm like, you know what? And I just went down there and started meeting people. And like I said, I saw some of the UConn coaches and they took care of me. And then I actually got a GA out of it at Western Carolina through Coach Jeff Fila, who my third year at UConn, Jeff Fila was our line coach. And Jeff had left UConn to go to Western Carolina as the offensive line coach and offensive coordinator. And I was in the lobby. We bumped into each other. And he says, Vinny, go, again, he had kind of a Southern draw. He's from New Jersey, but he had a Southern draw. And so we were talking. He goes, what are you doing? I said, well, I just coached at Bowdoin. I just graduated a year ago, and I want to get into coaching. And he goes, well, we might have a GA. Would you be interested? I said, absolutely, I would be. And it ended up being on defense, which is fine. I said, I'll take anything.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to do whatever. And so sure enough, that was in January. The process didn't get kind of taken care of because I was involved with a GA at Tulane as well. So with Buddy Teagle, God rest Coach.
Oh, yeah, I coached with Buddy.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, there was when he was at Tulane, so there was a GA position there, and so I was involved with because some guys knew some of the guys on that staff. So that kind of went away in about end of the summer, or I shouldn't say that, end of the spring, early summer, and then the Western Carolina thing came, and I'm like, I remember being there. Remember, there are no cell phones now. So I was on break from work, be on a payphone, having to call on a payphone using a calling card.
The calling cards, yes.
Calling card, and talking to them, and then trying to do some stuff, and whether it was like not really an interview, but just they're getting to know me or whatever. But Coach Phelan went to bat for me. Long story short, and that following July, 1993, I went down to Western Carolina. I was there for 3 years.
You have a comment. A shout out to Rico Bosco, a Nichols legend.
Yeah, Rico's a Barstool legend, former Nichols player. Rico's a great guy, and I'm trying to get him involved with the program more. He's a good supporter and everything, and he promotes Nichols and everything. And we're very grateful for Rico.
All right, so Gang Green, we got to get Rico more involved in the program. You got to pass that message on. So. We want his help. We want his help. You ended up at Western Carolina, and that is huge because people don't understand, and I try to explain it to them. College football is different than any other job, any other industry, because networking is more important than anything.
Yeah.
It's who you know. It's who you get along with, and that is how you get your jobs. You hit your wagon to the right train, and they'll take you to places that you never expect to be.
Yeah.
So I think that's huge.
It's funny you say that, Steve. Your point is great because here's my Western Carolina story.
Yeah.
So after my first year was on defense, I helped coach the DBs. So I learned a lot, learned some defense.
And that's huge.
Yeah, it was great. And I mean, it was awesome.
The more you know, the better.
Just to get down there, and I made connections, and like you said, so then I switched. So then there was some changeover, some turnover at Western, and Coach Steve Hodgen, at the time was head coach, wanted to hire a gentleman that he knew from North Carolina where he played, but he didn't have any quarterback experience, and the quarterback coach had left to become head coach of a Division III school in Kentucky, and so Coach feels like, well, let's move Vinny over to coach the quarterbacks, and I'll get him to, we can get him to do all the technique that I want. We can get him, but he knows reads, he knows how to throw a football and all that stuff. So, yeah. So then after my second year there, after my first year there, going into my second year, I moved to quarterback. So I'm coaching the quarterbacks as a GA in the Southern Conference.
That's huge.
So here we are playing Appalachian State. Here we are playing Georgia Southern. Our first game was my very first game at Western was against Kansas. They were loaded actually that year. Wow. So I mean, it was a great experience. So I coached the quarterbacks here for 2 years, and Coach Field left after my second year, and then we went in and Coach had to hire a coordinator, and it didn't work out. We weren't very good, and Coach was starting to get some heat, and so I actually got. It's funny, I got let go of the offense. A bunch of the offensive staff got let go, including myself. So I had gotten my master's, but we had gotten let go. But the funny part about it was, you're talking about connections. I had people trying to help me to get hooked on with Skip Holtz. So when Skip got the UConn job, he had some openings, and I was trying to get on there. And my head coach at Western Carolina is like, "Don't go. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to make you full time. I'm going to, don't worry about it." And I trusted him. So I kind of pulled away from trying to get back to UConn, which now looking back was obviously a huge mistake. And then 2 years later, I got let go with some of the other coaches on offense.
Oh, I got you.
But, I put my faith in him that he was going to take care of me, and he never did. And so I had a great experience, though. It gave me a lot of experience as a young quarterback coach, and it helped.
And that's where you got your master's from Western?
I got my master's from Western Carolina in physical education, yep.
Okay. So that was worth it.
Yeah.
Right, just for that.
Absolutely.
So you get let go from Western, and that is not the best experience. I've been there. And some of it's your fault, most of it's not, but you're tied in with the entire group.
Yep.
So how was your experience from there trying to find another coaching job in another position?
It's another great story, because all these things at this time, there's no cell phones.
No, there's nothing.
There's no internet. You're literally reading the paper to see the transactions of what coaches get fired in the newspaper back then.
Yes.
So I actually came up when I was done at Western Carolina. I was working on a golf course for 3 years, and it was good money. I got to play golf in the summers, so I'm like, I was let go. So in the spring, I started working when the weather got better. I started working to make money, and as I'm looking for a job, but I'm like, I'm still Western finishing my master's. So I'm like, well, I worked on the golf course. I'm finishing my master's. So I'm like, all right, well, I was just driving home in May. I just gotten done school, just completed all my coursework. I didn't walk in graduation, but I came home for a buddy's wedding. I was going to come home up in May for 2 weeks because
you went to his wedding?
So I went to one of my buddy's weddings up in Massachusetts. I drove home a buddy I went to high school with.
That's crazy.
So I'm going back home to Southbridge. Yeah. And so while I'm home, I go over to Holy Cross. Dan Allen had just gotten the head coaching job at Holy Cross. Dan just came from BU.
I've heard so much about him. Yeah.
Yeah. And Coach Allen was a great man. God rest his soul. And
I know.
I drove over there in May, and I called over, said, could we set up a meeting? I didn't know him. He didn't know me. He was nice enough to see me. We sat in his office. It was a beautiful spring day. And we talked, and he said, Vinny, I don't have anything right now. He said, well, certainly. I gave him my resume. He said, I'll keep your resume on file. So sure enough, this was, like I said, I was in Massachusetts for a couple of weeks from May. I drove back down to North Carolina because I was going to work there for the summer on the golf course because I had no coaching job. Sure enough, as I'm driving down, I stayed, I stopped in like Virginia for the night, and then I get back down to Cully, and I go in the football office because I was still friendly with those guys. I understood how it worked, and those guys were trying to help me get a job. They weren't trying to. So guy Mutt DeGraff, again, another coach who's passed away, was one of the best people I've ever worked with. And Mutt says, "Hey, Vinny, you got to call this guy Dan Allen at Holy Cross. He's trying to get a hold of you."
He's trying to get a hold of you.
I go, "I just met with him like 10 days ago, whatever." He goes, "Well, he's trying to get a hold of you." And so he called down the Western Carolina football office. And again, no cell phones or anything. So,
I know. That's funny.
So I called. I get the number. I called from the Western Carolina football office. And he says, "Hey, I just had a guy leave part-time position. I get a part-time running back job if you want it." So I said, "Yeah, absolutely. I'll take it," or whatever. He explained it. He goes, when I could start. And I couldn't start until honestly, August 1st. It was a part-time.
Yeah, that's how it was, the part-time.
Yeah, the part-time jobs. But I could live at home. I could live in Southbridge or Worcester.
Yeah.
20 minutes.
Right there.
So I lived at my parents' house for the year. I coached the running backs under him and learned to run and shoot and all that stuff. And I worked with some good guys in the staff. And so I did that. And then the second year, he was calling the plays. And then the second year, we struggled the first year. We struggled the second year. And actually, all 3 years I was there, we struggled. But with 3 games left, he called me in the office. He goes, "I want you to call the plays the last 3 games." He goes, "I've got to get a pulse of the team." He goes, I got to get a pulse of the program, like where we're at defensively, special teams, offensively. I want you to.
He's got to be in that CEO
start taking the
role.
quarterbacks, and I want you to call the plays last 3 weeks, and at the end of the year and offensively, the last 3 weeks we played pretty well. Actually, my first game against Lehigh, we won, and we've had like 491 yards of total offense. And then I became, at the end of the year, he named me the offensive coordinator. So I was like one of the youngest FCS coordinators. I was like 29 years old. And so that was my experience there for a year. And I was not ready for it, to be honest with you. I was not ready for it at all. That didn't end well either.
Thrown into the fire.
That didn't end well. I mean, it was 3 years of Dan's program. It wasn't going well.
No, it didn't. So, it didn't end well.
At times, I kind of feel like I was the fall guy. But whether I was or wasn't, it didn't matter. I mean, in December, he let me go. And that upset me, because I was like, well, wait a second. I mean, you're not giving me any resources or whatever. And I certainly was not ready at 29 to be playing in the Patriot League and playing the teams we played to do it consistently. But I mean, we did have a little bit of improvement when I took over the last 3 of my second year there. But anyways, he let me go. And then I got hooked on with Jim Reed at the University of Richmond. And Coach Reed's a legend who used to be at UMass and has been around at Iowa and Boston College. And today is still a great mentor for me. So I got hooked on with Frank Leonard, who I mentioned. Frank was an assistant at UConn. Frank's a legend in coaching, 44 years. He's with me now here as a retired coach. He helps our offensive line. Frank's been like my big brother since he was an assistant at UConn. I played at UConn. We stayed in touch the whole time. And so Frank had me. I interviewed with Jim Reed in Newport at the big New England clinic in Newport.
Yes, I heard all about that. Yes,
the big clinic. I interviewed with him in his room, and he offered me the job, and I drove down, and I was at Richmond as a part-time wide receiver coach. So I went from a full-time coordinator at the Patriot League at Holy Cross to a restricted earnings job coaching the wide receivers. I actually had a kid. I coached him there, and actually had a kid drafted, Minir Moore, who was drafted 6th round by the Denver Broncos. And that Dwan Jones was a great receiver, and the receivers played really well. And Coach Reed was great because he wanted to expand the pass game. So he listened to a lot of things I brought in, run and shoot concepts, pass concepts. And Coach Reed, and to this day, Coach is a great mentor of mine, just being a head coach and is a great person. So I had a great experience there, and actually interviewed while at Richmond for UConn when Randy's first staff. I interviewed and didn't get the job. I went up and interviewed my first time with Randy. And didn't get the job, and so I went back to Richmond, and I was there for the next year, and then went to the University of Rhode Island, interviewed at the University of Rhode Island because I was trying to get a full-time job. So Tim Stowers had taken over. Tim Stowers was a 3-time national champ at Georgia Southern. Tim became the head coach at URI, and Tim's a Southerner, hired a bunch of Southerners, and so here I am the quote-unquote Yankee. Or the New Englander.
He needs someone.
Yeah. And he needs somebody. And so we talked, and I knew the offensive coordinator when I was at Western Carolina. We knew each other. And so I reached out to him. He's like, you'd be interested? I'm like, absolutely, I would be. I go, this is a full-time job. Heck, at the time they gave you a car. It was, it was a good payback. URI, I mean, again, I get back closer to New England, home where I'm from. So URI is about an hour and 15 minutes from where I'm from, Southbridge. So I'm close to my family, so that was important to me. I love Richmond, though. I mean, I love the Richmond experience. Working for Coach Reed was great. It was awesome. But I couldn't start. I couldn't start at URI until July 1st. So I was in the spring working with Richmond.
Right.
I was coaching the receivers there, whatever. But of course, Richmond and URI were going to play next fall, and so it was weird. And Coach Reed was great about it, and I was professional about it. And so I started in July of 2000 at URI, and then we were a triple option, so it was awesome. It was a great experience for me to learn a triple. So it was awesome experience to learn that stuff. And I still take some of it today, some of the elements from that offense.
Some of the
today.
concepts.
Yeah, some of the concepts. And Tim treated me great. I recruited my butt off, recruited a lot of players to that program. And I was there for 2 years. The second year, we actually beat UConn, went to UConn and beat them in stores.
You did.
Yeah, UConn had just announced that they were going to Division I.
Yes, you did beat us in stores.
Yes, beat UConn in stores.
I remember.
And so that was in 2001. We went 8-3 that year, did not make the playoffs. We went 8-3, did not make the playoffs.
Yeah, you guys were good.
Yeah, we had a good team. We had a really good team, and Tim built a good team, and the kids played hard, and they believed. And that was a big thing that they had. They had belief. And we went 8-3, and then in February of 2002, Norris Wilson called me, and Linda Johnson called me, and they said, "Hey, J.D. Hall is leaving, and the receiver job is open, and would you want to be interested in coming back?" I'm like, "Hell yeah!" I'm like, "Of course." I mean, that's home for me. I mean, I love it. I mean, I would love to. And of course, UConn was going Division I, so I was. So Randy set up. I went up and interviewed, and basically, he even told me, he goes, "It's really not an interview." He goes, "I really would like to hire you."
Yeah, it's yours.
He goes, "You did a great job in your first interview. I just decided to go in a different direction." He goes, "You did a great job." He goes, "And then obviously I know what you do, part of it, URI, and you've worked our camp. I would go work their camp."
You would go there, yep.
So I'd go work their summer camp, so Randy would see me.
So they all knew you.
So they all knew me. And then, so I went up there, and basically, and he told me, he said they had a new offense coordinator, Jerry Franks. Dave McMichael was new. Coach McMichael was new. Yeah. So Randy basically told me, he goes, "I want to hire you. I just want you to come up and meet everybody because we have some new people." Coach Warner had left. So, so I'm like, absolutely great. And on the other end of it, Coach Stowers was trying to keep me. Coach Stowers was like, "Well, Randy really hasn't won." And so I get what Tim was saying. I mean, we had success, and I get exactly what Tim was saying. Tim didn't want me to go. He thought I did a great job. He's like, "I love how you coach. I love how you motivate the players. I love how you push the players." And he goes, and a great compliment to me was, he goes, "You coach a lot like I do." And I took that as a great compliment. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it was going to be more money. It was UConn. It was home. It was a no-brainer. I mean, I had to go. And it was tough. I really enjoyed my time at URI. I'm still very good friends with Ashley Ingram, who was the O-line coach, now the head coach at Carson Newman. Ashley was at Navy forever. So Ashley's a good friend of mine and some of the guys on the staff. But ultimately, I couldn't, so I started at UConn. I'll never forget the date, February 18th. It was after the signing day on 2002. I started. And that's a date that I was just tickled to death. I was tickled to come back, and everybody was so welcoming and so good to see so many people that when I was there as a player were still there. A lot of the equipment people, a lot of the people in administration. So all those people were there. And then I got to know Lou Perkins, and Jeff was there as a player. Lou Perkins was there when I was a player. He had just come in at the end of my playing career, and he sat there and said, "We're going to go Division I." And Lyndon Johnson, I still laugh today. We're like, "Yeah, we ain't going Division I." We all sat in that.
Everyone I talked to told me that when you were getting recruited, and other guy Wilbur Gilliard said the same thing. They're like, "Oh, we're going Division I." They were telling people this in the early 90s.
Yeah.
It didn't happen until 2000. So
exactly. So I mean, I remember sitting in facilities and them telling us, and Lyndon and I still laugh today about it. And then Lyndon and I ended up on the staff together in 2002. Yeah. It was phenomenal. It was the best 4 years probably of my coaching career. I absolutely loved it.
So we have a question. How valuable is it to coach the many different positions that you did, offense, defense, maybe special teams, as far as making you a better coach?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the more you do, the more you understand how the game works from all different facets. So, I mean, there's a lot of people, it's like some guys say that D-line coaches and O-line coaches can't really make coordinators because they don't understand the pass game, pass defense, and understand the pass offense, which, again, if you coach different positions, you understand that stuff. And it definitely helps. I've coached special teams. I mean, I was the kickoff return coach for URI, and we led the conference in returns. It makes a big deal that the more you can coach, the more you learn, the more you understand the bigger picture. So many people, including myself at times, you're so narrow on just your position or certain things.
Right.
Like early on in my career, I worried about the pass game. I was a quarterback guy, I was a receiver guy, and then at UConn, I started to understand the run game more. And then when I left UConn to go become the coordinator at UConn, when Norris became the head coach,
Correct.
I was a coordinator. I needed to know the run game. So it was great knowing Norris knew it like he did. And for me, I learned the run game and how to, scheme up fronts and those type of things. So that was big. It helps a lot.
And I believe when Norris became the coordinator at UConn, it was you and Ambrose that really put together the passing game.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, that was it was weird because in the spring I was there. Rob was not there yet. Jerry Franks was still there. Coach Franks
was there. Yeah.
Like first week of July. I remember getting a call from Randy and so he had left and he had explained to me what I was actually at my parents' house. For some reason I remember the call vividly. And we talked and he said he was going to make Norris the coordinator, and I asked, when he mentioned that I wanted to go coach the quarterbacks, and he said, "Well, and this is what he told me. You did a great job in the spring. I can already see our wide receivers getting better. You've made
they did.
You made a big impact in a short time." He goes, "And I don't want to move you from there." He goes, "We have to do a good job of throwing the football, so I'm going to bring Rob Ambrose in to coach the quarterbacks. Norris is going to be the coordinator. Dave McMichael will be the tight ends. Terry will be the running back coach." But he goes,
Right.
Moving forward, how I understood. I get it. I mean, I didn't mind. I mean, I was going into my first year there, and I knew the spring was a little choppy, was a little rocky, and Danny Orlowski and I kind of would help Danny a little bit because he'd come to me with some things.
Yeah.
And I know, just on some things that we were doing that I think I could help explain to him a little bit better. And but then obviously when Rob came in, and Rob and Danny had a great relationship. And Rob and I kind of handled a lot of the pass game stuff with Coach Michael as well.
Yeah, no, you guys did a great job, and especially the wide receivers. We had I remember that year, Wes Timko made a tremendous improvement, and then the biggest improvement was Sean Dyson, who had been a walk-on kicker, who you transformed into a star that year and the year after. I mean, he was one of the best receivers that we had. And then some of the freshmen that came in, like Brandon Young. I mean, everyone contributed. Quinier Gaskins from
O'Neal Wilson had a great senior year.
O'Neal Wilson
had a great senior year. Yeah. I mean, they were great. I mean, it was one of the funnest groups of kids I've ever coached. And I've coached a bunch. URI had great kids. Richmond had great kids. Other schools other places I've had great kids. But UConn, obviously, because it was home, you had that connection because it was my alma mater. It was there where they went to school. But that room was fun. They wanted to be coached. They wanted to be coached hard, or they seemed to be not mind getting coached hard. But yet they knew that I cared about them. They knew I cared about UConn. And I remember one of my first meetings in the spring. The women had just won one of their national championships, and all these
they did. Yeah.
The women were just coming back, and they were having their rally back in Gamble. And I remember saying to these guys, if we want this kind of notoriety, we got to pick up our game. We got to work harder. We got to put more into this and all that stuff. I remember being in the trailers because that was when we were in the trailers.
The modulars. Yeah.
The modulars. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I remember, and those guys were great. They all had a great look in their eye. They all wanted to be good. Obviously they knew Danny was a really good quarterback. We moved Karan to wideout. Karan became a great receiver.
Karan. Yeah.
Karan became a great receiver. I mean, he was coachable. He was, he was awesome. Matt Kataya. We had a great room. I mean, kids all worked hard. They all, all maximized their ability. I talked all the time about Brian Sparks coming in as a walk-on. Brian Sparks he caught a touchdown pass in the bowl game, maximized his ability. At the end of the day, you can sit there and say, I played as high at a level as I could. You know what I mean? And so that's all you can ask a kid to do. And you go back to Wes Timko. I heard, and I would say horror stories. No one badmouthed Wes, but it was like,
he was limited.
He could do more. But they thought they could get more out of Wes, and they thought they could get more out of O'Neal, and they did. Yeah. Those guys ended up giving us more and getting more out of them. And I remember Wes made a great catch against Navy in the rain. Made a great catch.
Huge catch.
Huge catch. And rain. I mean, here we were playing in a downpour, and we didn't have one drop ball. I mean,
I know.
one drop.
I know.
Ball.
We shut them out. Yeah.
Shut them out. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was so. I mean, the kids, they developed mental toughness. They developed focus, a hunger to be good, and they were fun to coach. It was awesome, and then obviously the trend of where we went with the program made it more enjoyable.
And then obviously you were there for the opening of the stadium. Yeah. And then the monumental moment was the bowl game.
Yeah.
We finally got to the Motor City Bowl. We went to the Big East early because a couple teams left. And I remember coming to the Motor City Bowl, and it was just like, a culmination because, we were there from the beginning when we were getting our asses handed to us.
Yeah.
And it was so good to see us come in and just wallop Toledo.
Yeah.
It was just like that moment, like it finally all came together, like UConn football is here. And, my moment was beating Iowa State when they were ranked.
Yep.
That was critical. And then after that, you guys beat Toledo. That's when Norris was hired, right? As the head coach of Columbia, right?
Well, we came back. We won the bowl game. So we had 2002, we were 6-6. Remember now, we were 2-6.
Yes.
In 2002, and we won
I remember.
I remember. I still tell players that I coach, and I tell my team here, we had a come to Jesus moment on a Monday when we were in the trailers. We were 2-6. And everybody just kind of got to say their piece. I said my piece. Other coaches said their piece. And we went on a 4-game run, beat Iowa State end of the year, beat Navy down there to go 6-6. And that really catapulted us. A lot of people don't talk about that 2003 team, Steve. That was 9-3.
9-3. Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, I probably shouldn't say this. I'm probably going to get in trouble with Bobby Howard. But Bobby and I, when I was up working their camp a couple of years ago, Bobby and I talked. He goes, Vinny, nobody talks about that 9-3 team. He goes, I've been here for all these years. He goes, that might be the best UConn team there ever was. No one talks about it because there was no bowl game. He goes, that was a great team. And he goes, and no one thought. And you look back at it, look at the numbers, look who we lost to. That was a great team that we couldn't.
Oh yeah, and
beating Rutgers on Thanksgiving morning on national TV.
Yeah,
I mean that was a huge one. Getting up for a 6 a.m. pregame meal in the dark, and that was phenomenal. And yeah, I mean there were some great wins. The Iowa State win was
the Wake Forest at the end of the year was incredible. I remember
12 straight games, 12 straight, no bye, 12 straight.
Yeah, that's right.
That year, the season we had no bye, and we kicked Wake Forest's butt, and without a doubt. So after the 2004 season, which was the bowl season, we had 2005. We went 5-6.
Yes, yes. That's when DJ was the quarterback.
DJ was a quarterback in Bones, Matt Bonoslawski. So we had those kind of going back and forth of those two guys. We had a few injuries. We were 5-6.
Terry Cully was out. That's right.
If we had beaten Louisville on Saturday night, it was the Saturday night primetime game, by the way, against Louisville at the Ren. And if we had won that game, we were going to a bowl game and go 6-5.
Right.
We lost, and we were 5-6. Norris became the head coach at Columbia, offered me the coordinator's job. And for a week, I was out recruiting for UConn in Atlanta. And it was the longest week of my life because I couldn't figure out what to do. I could not. I remember laying in bed, and I'm like, what am I going to do? I have no idea. I'm just thinking about weighing the pros, the cons, and where it would take me in my career and all those things.
Yeah.
And I decided at the end of it to go because it was an opportunity to be a coordinator in the Ivy League and have a chance to kind of grow as a coach, which I did grow as a coach. And Norris was awesome to work for. But it was a really, really tough decision. And sometimes I wonder if it was the right decision, just being honest. But I loved UConn so much that it was absolutely tough decision.
We have another question. You have quite the reputation as a recruiter, being a good recruiter. What would you say your style is as a recruiter to get kids to trust you, to buy in, and obviously sign with the program?
I think, honestly, you got to be honest with them. I think you said trust, and that's the right thing. I think players or recruits want to feel like the guy they're talking to is not a BSer. Not going to BS them. And I'm not. I don't really do a very good job of that. I'm my father's son, as I say. My father's a terrible BSer. He just kind of shoots straight. God, he's 91 years old. And that's just kind of how I am when I'm talking to recruits. This is how it is. This is where we think the program's going. This is our vision. This is how you're going to be coached. This is what we envision you fitting in our system, whether it's offense, defense, or whatever. This is the makeup of the school. This is the makeup of the program. And but honestly, trying to build a relationship with them, obviously making them feel like they're wanted. So you're obviously invested in time on my end to spend time with them, and whether it's a phone call, a note, a visit. But it was, I think that's the biggest part, is getting them the trust. And I was so proud of, first of all, recruiting Julius was great, because then people started to come in on Julius. And I remember on that Friday before the signing day, before it went dead, I sat at Towers High School. Randy's like, "You're going to Towers High School and you're not moving." And I literally sat at Towers the whole day. And when Julius had study hall period, I sat with him when he was in class. And at the end of the day, I hung out for a while, and then I caught a flight back that night. But I literally stayed the whole day at Towers High School to make sure nobody. And then the other one I was proud about was Ellis Galden. And Ellis Galden was out of Godby High School. Ellis wasn't being recruited heavily because he had so many guys in front of him. I think went to Alabama, Clemson. So here's Ellis as a junior now, 6'2", great-looking kid, long arms, great smile, nice kid, high jumper, 7-foot high jumper at UConn. So I went to the spring jamborees his junior year in Tallahassee. They had 2 nights of jamborees.
Yes.
A lot of players. And I love the kid. So I remember going through spring, but he just didn't have enough film. And Randy's, so I'm like, I'm going to put him on my radar. I tried to get him offered in the spring. Randy, wouldn't offer him because there wasn't enough film. And I get it. But mid-year, he sent me his highlight tape. And he sent me his highlight tape for mid-year of his senior. We had a recruiting meeting on Fridays. And we showed his tape. And Randy's like, "You really like him?" I'm like, "Coach, I love him. He's a great kid.
I want him. Yeah.
He's awesome. He's got a huge upside." I go, "He's played great football." And I go, "I really want him." And go, Randy's like, "I'll never forget." Randy's like, "Well, you willing to stand on the table?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, I am." I'm like, "I want that kid." I go, "Absolutely. I'm going to coach him, coach him. He'll be absolutely." And Randy's like, "All right, go ahead and offer him." Well, sure enough, we're the first to offer him. And then Iowa State.
Everyone jumps in. Yeah.
Iowa State, Syracuse, and Louisville came in, and they were all recruiting him. Those are the 4 big Division I schools that were recruiting him. And to make a long story short, I went to the school to visit with his mom and the coach and Ellis. And then I came back and wanted to do another visit, and the mom invited me to the house. I was the only coach to get a home visit. I was the only coach to get a home visit. And that's when I felt like I had a pretty good shot. And I connected with the mom. Ellis and I obviously had a strong connection, but the mom's like, "I want you to come to the house." And she didn't let any other coach, Ellis, like, "Coach, no other coach come to the house. Like, you're the only coach that she wants to come to the house." And, it was a very humble house. The mom worked really hard. She's a great woman. Had kids, and she was trying to provide for them. And Ellis was a great kid, and it worked out. We got him to come. And unfortunately, he had a good career, but unfortunately had some injuries that hampered his career.
So I don't want to take up too much of your time. How long currently have you been at Nichols College and transition to being a head coach?
Yeah.
You're the guy now. All eyes are on you.
Yeah.
What has that been like? Yeah,
it's been interesting. It's a program that's had success in the last decade.
Correct.
Last century. In this decade, and since the 2000s, it hasn't had a ton of success. It was very successful in the 70s. Some great teams. I got here in 2002. I had taken the year off in 2021 after COVID. I was at Brown.
Right.
And then COVID hit, and I decided to leave Brown. I just wasn't thrilled with some of the things they were doing and with how they were handling all that stuff. And I just, my folks are older, and my folks are everything to me. So I was like, I'm going to go home.
Yeah, you wanted to be close to home. Yep.
Yeah, I want to make sure they were good, and that was important to me. And some things were going on with other people in my life that I just wanted to make sure. So I said, you know what, I can do it. So I took the year off, and then Nichols reached out to me. The head coach at Nichols reached out to me, and I had a couple things going. I was trying to get on Coach Moore's staff at UConn. He had just gotten hired. I was trying to get on.
Correct.
Things fell through, and so Coach, the head coach previous to me, called me. We talked. I was going to come on as a stipend offensive coordinator in the spring. Because Division III, you don't have a lot of full-time coaches.
Correct.
So I came, and I think I kind of made an impact early on. We talked about what my stipend was going to be for the fall. It wasn't even full-time. In the summer, I was going to have to go get like a job or whatever.
Right.
But I was going to go interview at Endicott, and Endicott's got a really good program. Paul McGonigal's a terrific coach. So he had an offensive coordinator's job open. I was very interested. I'm like, it's a full-time job, and Endicott's a terrific place, and I know Paul's a good coach. And so I actually was going to go interview, and the day before, I let my AD know, Jack Hayes, who's now back at UConn, and Jack's been at UConn 3 times now. Jack was the AD at Brown, and then he became the AD at Nichols. So I told Jack about it. Jack went to the president, and they were like, "You're not going to interview at Endicott. Here's what we're going to pay you. It's a full-time job. We're creating a full-time job for you. You're not leaving. If you go interview, then we're not." So I'm like, "All right, I'll stay. I mean, that's fine. I'm 15 minutes from where from my parents. I can see my parents.
You wanted to stay.
Yeah. So I didn't go to Endicott, didn't interview, and then I became full-time here. And then offensively for 2 years, we had done some good things. The first year I got here, they went from 28 points or 12 points a game to 28 points a game in 2022. Then we went to 35 points a game, and then but we struggled on defense, struggled on special teams.
Right.
The head coach had been there a while. They just decided to make a change, and so I had interviewed for the job, and they gave it to me, and it's different. Yeah, for me, it's for my whole life. It's been worried about one position or worried about just a unit.
Yeah,
now you got to worry about everybody, and I'm trying to. And I've created a culture on offense for 4 years now, and the culture is toughness, it's accountability, it's execution, it's putting the work in, and the kids see it and they see the results. And so I've got to do a better job as we're about to complete year 2 in a week. I've got to do a better job of creating that culture on defense, and I'm going to do more of that in the off season to create a better culture on defense for us, so where we can become a complete team. And our special teams this year were good, not as good as last year. So we got to get back to being better on special teams. But it's interesting. Yeah, you got to do everything. You got to fundraise. We raised a ton of money. We have a Bison Blitz in September. We raised a good amount of money in the Bison Blitz, some of the highest numbers they've ever raised. So I go out and meet with alums. I do that, which I like to do. I mean, there's a lot of people who love Nichols football.
Oh, of course.
They want to support it. It's great. Like I said, so I like doing that. It's fun. I've got to recruit. We recruit like 40 kids a year. That's a big number.
Yeah, you got to bring in a lot.
Got to bring in a lot of kids. So about 40 kids a year we got to bring in. So that's a lot of work. So between the recruiting and then we have spring football starting in March. So I mean it's year round. It goes until the end of the school year, and then summer you get a little of a break. You're recruiting still and everything, but you do get a little bit of a break to kind of settle in. I kind of focus on what we need to do in the fall to coming off of spring to be better and set the program up for the year.
Had it always been your dream to be a head coach?
Yeah.
Because I mean, you have been everywhere and you've done everything.
I actually thought I was going to get the Bryant. I was the interim head coach. I was at Bryant in 2017 and 18. And in 2018, James Perry, who I worked for at Bryant, became the head coach of Brown. So James left in December of 2018. I became the interim head coach at Bryant, and I was a finalist. And I thought I was going to get the job, and I didn't. It was disappointing. I really wanted to. I thought Bryant was a great place. I enjoyed coaching there.
They built a great facility, right?
I tell you what, they've invested a lot into it, and they really have. And I thought I was going to get the job and didn't get it. So James, and it was great because James told me, listen, if you don't get the Bryant job, you're going to be the offense coordinator at Brown, so you don't feel like you got to. So it was great going through that process. Like I wanted the head coaching job at Bryant, but I knew I had a very good job at Brown, and I appreciated James for that. And ultimately, I didn't get it, and it was disappointing. I really thought I would have been a good fit there and everything. But then, I did want to be a head coach. And then when I got here, I looked and I just kind of felt like, again, they let the guy in front of me go who's been here for 10 years. And I was like, well, I mean, I'd like to do it, like I said, and see what it is and then find out what you got to do.
Yeah. I mean, I think you'd be a good fit anywhere. Another question came in. You work for so many coaches and so many coaches. Which coach would you say had the most impact on you as far as your coaching style, the offense you run, and the way you run your program?
Yeah. Actually, I really give two people the biggest amount of credit. One would be Randy. I really loved how Randy ran his program. Not just for football. It was about developing the person as a whole person.
People. He cared about us as people.
Without a doubt. And that hit home with me, the structure. I thought he was very good in recruiting. I thought Randy could evaluate. I thought that was a big part of it. Randy was definitely a big piece. So we talk a lot of the same things here about developing as a man, not just as a football player, but ultimately doing both. And then the other gentleman I mentioned earlier on was probably Coach Reed. Coach Reed is he's the same way. He's a great man of integrity. Was the head coach at VMI, was the head coach at UMass, has been around. Like I said, to this day, he's like my uncle. He's a great man. And he has great moral values. He believes football the right way, treat people the right way, coach the right way, work hard. It's a hard job. Work hard at it. Get your players to work hard. Those type of things. So I would say those two, as far as kind of how I run a program and overall those kind of things. And then offensively, it's just kind of been a lot of different people. I think James Perry had a big influence. Some of the things we did with James was big, and some of that stuff. And it just developed over time of things that I knew I liked and things that I didn't like. And I kind of meshed everything from different spots that I've been. So that kind of has been how I did offense, done the offense.
And have you experienced anyone in the transfer portal? Have you brought kids in from the portal?
Yeah.
Okay,
we have the transfer portal's big in Division III. Kids, whatever they want to play. So whatever it is, obviously at the higher levels, they're leaving and getting big money. Here, they're not at our level. They just want to play, and they don't feel
they want to play. Yeah.
They don't feel where they're at is whether it's going to be successful, whether they're going to be put in the right position, or they're just not playing and they want to play. Sometimes the school's not the right fit. Maybe they think it's the right fit and they don't go. We have kids leave because kids come here and we're a small school. So you've got to want to embrace a small school, and kids come and they may come and do an overnight visit, but then
you're bringing in so many freshmen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough to manage all.
Exactly. No doubt. So, it's, the Division III kids sometimes think they're like the Division I kids, and they go, I'm going to go in the portal and do this or whatever. And it's like, I got it. If you're transferring for the right reason, if it's because, you don't think you played enough. Well, if you're only a sophomore, you still have 2 years left. Like, just kind of, slow your roll, as we say, and just kind of work through it. And, you're going to be put in a position, seniors graduate and those things. And some kids, it's just a fit. They just don't feel, that, some kids reach out to me and say, Coach, I want to transfer. Now kids, at the end of the season, kids are reaching out and they're saying, Coach, I want to transfer. Kids we've previously recruited. Then I'm like, well, just at the end of the season, let me know, go in the portal, let me know you're interested, and we'll go through the process. But it's interesting. It's definitely trickled down into that world for sure.
And as far as Nichols goes in the future, for the next 2 to 3 years, your major improvements, you said defensively, special teams, if you can get those done, do you see yourself, being that powerhouse once again, being a winning program, having more success?
Yeah, I do. I think there's a lot of teams in our league that are very similar to each other.
Yes.
Endicott's right now the gold standard, without a doubt. Endicott's the gold standard. It is what it is. It's true. They've done a great job. Paul's done a great job. I think we're about 65% freshmen, sophomore. So my 2 recruiting classes, we're about 65%. So we're fairly young.
So you're young.
We're going to graduate 19 seniors. There's 2 of them that I think could come back for 5th years. We're going to talk about that, or 3 of them actually. I'm sorry. So 3 of those kids could come back. So we're going to talk about that at the end of the year. We'll only have about 12 seniors next year. So the junior class now will be small. So it's mostly freshmen and sophomores. We're playing a lot of freshmen and sophomores.
So that's good.
So I think the future's bright. If these kids will just continue to buy in and believe and get in the weight room and believe, I think we're in pretty good shape. We're playing a lot of good young kids. We have a nice blend of older kids. We're going to miss certainly some of our seniors are going to graduate. We're going to miss them. We expect our juniors, like every program, to step up and to be seniors, but we're not going to have a huge senior class. So we need to go out and bring another good freshman class in. And like I said, as of right now, our roster is about 65% freshmen and sophomores. So we're pretty young, and I think the future does feel like we can get back to where we can compete with everybody in our league and have more success.
Vernon Hargraves wants me to say hello, and he thinks you're doing a great job.
Vern's awesome. Vern's the best. Tell Vern I said hello. He's great.
And Dave Schumann also says hello and says,
I know you and Schumann have a great podcast. You guys do a great job.
We do. He says that we're going to come to one of your games next year.
Come. Anytime you guys want me to come on, it's awesome. I follow your podcast. You guys do a great job. I love the Husky Talk, obviously, and me being a Husky,
Yeah.
I love it. It's awesome. Some of the guests
I
you have,
appreciate it.
Maria and all those guys, it's great.
Yeah.
So all the former players that we get to see, it's awesome. I mean, the players at UConn meant a lot to me. They really did. It was great because last year we played at Gallaudet. So Brandon Young and MJ Estep came and spoke on my team. So it was awesome. It was great for those guys to drive up in that Maryland traffic's not easy, and I appreciate them doing it. And they came and spoke to the team, and it was awesome.
No, we're definitely trying to build a culture with everyone online and connections and networking so people can talk with each other, people can work with each other, and really connect the alumni. And that's what we're trying to do. So, but thank you so much for your time. Your story is incredible. All the different places you've been, all the different positions that you've coached. And I'm so happy that you're a head coach right now, because I could say nobody deserves it more than you. And nobody cares about their players, develops their players, and, worries about their players after graduation more than you do.
Yeah.
So I think you make the difference. But thank you for coming on Husky Talk and sharing your story. And I'm sure this is going to get a lot of views. You got a lot of people who watch this one.
Well, I got to say thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I got to say,
who do you play Saturday?
We play Saturday. We play Husson from Maine.
Okay,
it's our senior day, senior home game. So
beat up on Hudson.
Yeah, so we're 2-6. So both teams are 2-6. So it's the game we got to we're trying to win for our seniors and obviously get us a win in November. We have one more game next week, and then we start getting into the recruiting trail of it. So I appreciate your time. It's awesome. Like I said, let me know anytime you want me to come on. I do enjoy watching.
Awesome. All right. Yeah. We'll definitely have you on one of our Husky huddles. We'll talk about UConn football.
That's awesome.
But thank you again. Coach Marino coached me, now the head coach at Nichols College. Remember, I'm Steve Cully, the best podcast host in the universe. When life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges, throw them right back at life.